Happy Tuesday! It's time for Stories with Sarah Lizabeth. I am by myself this week. It's just me. You've just got me this week, so I hope you enjoy it. But I loved having my kids with me last week to be a part of the Stories with Sarah Lizabeth. So if you missed it, go check out last week's episode where the kids talk about dreaming about being a bride since they were little. So you get a perspective of a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and it's amazing. So thanks to all those that watched it, and thanks to all those that sent me messages about it. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. So I was thinking this week I would share with you about my very first bride. And she's a very important person in my life as she kind of started it. And so I can't wait to share how it all began. When I started Regalo Design, I had $40 in my bank account, and I'm pretty sure I spent 30 of that on a business license. And I had nothing but passion, drive, and a lot of faith. And I took a huge jump. And thankfully, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do what I do on a daily basis and, have really developed a great skill in that. So I'm very lucky to be able to wake up every day and do what I love. But it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, obviously. So the very first bride that comes along, the first official, non-friend, non-family member bride under the official business license, Regalo Design, I was so excited. When they say fake it till you make it, they are not lying. I'm not gonna lie. I faked it until I made it. And, I didn't know a thing. I planned corporate events and I did, I helped people, like everybody says, they helped someone to get started or whatever. But I really was just, this is my skill, this is my passion, this is what I love to do. And I would sit in front of people and sell them really on my dream of potentially being a really good wedding planner and florist. And so obviously I'm good at sales because I got several that first year, and I was really excited. But the first one was very special to me, and she became a really good friend through the process, obviously, getting to know her and working through the wedding planning process. But I will never forget the first time we sat down and kind of went through, we met for the very first time. It was kind of like an interview for her and for me. And, we kind of went back and forth about what she wanted, where she wanted the wedding to be, what the vision was. And meanwhile, I'm just like, that is awesome. Yes. Oh, I could do that. Yes, I can do that. Over and over again. Oh yes, it's gonna be great. Oh, I've got you, girl. I've got you. I had no idea what I was talking about. No clue. And so I was just like, well, I should probably figure this out. I should probably figure out how to, I know how to plan events, but weddings are a different beast. So let's Google. Let's Google and find out. So we sat down, we met for the very first time. I then left and did a ton of research on what it was to be a wedding planner. And I was like, well, I guess I've got to I'm a florist and designer, and that I always, had in my history is design in the past. And so I was like, well, I should probably buy some things. So I literally sat down after that meeting and went through everything that she wanted. And I immediately started to reach out to vendors and reach out to potential suppliers of my inventory and floral suppliers. I mean, it was like that meeting and I left and it was go time. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that I had this vision and I knew that I had this mission to serve. And so I was bound and determined to make it happen. We went through the whole wedding planning process, and honestly, the planning was like, we planned it for probably, 8 or 9 months. Nothing else existed in my life. It was like, I couldn't do a thing else. I could only do that one client's wedding. I was overwhelmed with one, and then the next year I went to 85 weddings in a year. So it was quite a big change. But So yeah, she was important for so many reasons, but I also, that was the start of building my inventory, building my business. And I would love to tell you that it was perfect. It was not perfect. It was not perfect. And I was not perfect at planning events at the time. I was Googling how to plan events. And I was watching YouTube videos on how to make floral arrangements. That's right. How to make a boutonniere. If you YouTube it, you might find a video. Maybe you'll find this video. But yeah, so I was doing that up all night, just like for the entire time we were planning, trying to figure out how to, you know, do these things. Like where do you even start? What kind of material do you use? Where do you buy this stuff? Like, I had no clue. So whatever I made on that wedding went straight back into the business. And that continued for 5 years of Regalo. It was like something would come in, buy stuff, you know, it wasn't, and then I actually figured out, well, I'll tell you that in a minute, but, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I just took a leap of faith, believed in something, and went for it. And so, you know, I had to get all the inventory, I had to get all the supplies, and I also, later in my career, realized that you could hire people to help you. That was not even on my radar for the first at least 3 years of the business, where I was like just doing everything, you know, up all night and just like, oh yeah, I can do that, and I can hang drapes, and I can hang lights, and I can do all that stuff. Sure, no problem. So this was the start of Regalo, and it was just crazy. So we got to the day of the wedding, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, I had been there for 3 days prior to the wedding. We had 3 massive tents. It's not like, the first one wasn't small, y'all. No. We had 3 massive tents surrounding this pool, and they had to be draped, and I was like, I got this. They had to be lit, and I was like, I can plug stuff in. I can hang Christmas lights. Like, this is cool. I can do this. I can get up on a 25-foot ladder, no problem. So I literally was there for 3 days prior to the event, trying to figure out how to drape an entire tent ceiling, 3 tents. Not just like, you know, putting up a few pieces of fabric. I'm talking like the whole thing covered in drape. And I was just tired. I was tired, and I just was like, I don't even know what to do here. Like this, where do I hook this to? Can I hook this to that? I'm just gonna give it a try. You know, it was just learning. So that took me 3 days to do the draping in the tents and the lighting in the tents. And then she also had some sort of, this was the time when like paper lanterns, Chinese paper lanterns were really popular. So in between the ceiling being totally draped, I had to figure out how to scatter paper lanterns all over the ceiling. But I did it, got it done, and 3 days later we had a wedding. And don't you know that on that day, there was a massive, massive storm that came through. Do you think that the drape that I put up, not knowing how to secure it, stayed during the storm? It did not. So 3 days of work, I watched as this storm came through the day of the wedding, hours before the wedding. I watched all that 3 days of work start to come down. And I had a moment. I was like, I think I'm over my head on this one. I think this one got me. I may never do this again. And so I was just so upset about it, you know, just like, 3 days of work, and, you know. And there were also floating candles in the pool. And of course, you know, as the rain came, the floating candles, you know, extinguished. And so we were fishing, you know, floating candles with the net until I got somebody to actually go into the pool to start getting the candles out for me to relight them and put them back in the pool during the ceremony. Because while they were doing the ceremony, I was like, they're gonna come back, I gotta have these candles lit. And so we fished out the candles and relit them. You know, everybody got wet during the ceremony because obviously I didn't understand, like, to look at your phone, not just like look up, and you can look up and it's very effective, but to look and see pockets of storms and stuff. And I sent them, I was like, this wedding's gonna start on time and we're good. And everyone got wet. And I'll never forget looking over and seeing hundreds of people, because it was a huge wedding, like just crammed under these tents, and they were all like, this isn't really happening, right? And I was like, yeah, this is actually my first one, y'all. This is it. This is the first one. And so I learned a lot that day. I learned that I'm not afraid of much. and so, but sometimes you need to have wisdom in what you say you can do and what you can actually do. I learned that pretty quick, but don't you know that everything I couldn't do, I can do now? And, I just learned from, people that I knew in the industry. I mean, I started not knowing a single person in Nashville, and grew it to where I have some of my very best friends are in the wedding industry with me, and I love and adore them. And I just think of the people that I've met from the beginning, and some few that are still here, either the businesses have closed or, we've just continued our relationship. And I love them because they're part of the story of Regalo. And so, so the first one was not perfect by any means. And I remember talking to the bride, and just kind of her face was just like, what just happened after her wedding day? And I was like, faked it until I made it. And I sort of made it. I didn't quite make it. I was almost there. But it was just it's so funny to think back on that experience and how I really had no idea what I was doing, and just decided, it's like I woke up one day and I was like, I'm gonna be a wedding planner, and I'm gonna do flowers too. I'm gonna do those. And so I'm so thankful that I actually know how to do that now, and have gained the skills and made a lot of mistakes through the years, but also have had so many amazing victories, and those far outweigh the mistakes. But the mistakes that I've made have only helped me, be the person that I am today. And so I'm really grateful that I had her as my first. So I wanted to tell you guys about the first bride, because sometimes when you have a desire in you, and there's something that you want to pursue or do, either as a career or in your personal life or with your family, sometimes it just takes the jump and just the leap of faith and a lot of hard work and dedication. And I am so fortunate that I get to do what I love to do every day, and that it's mine. But it's not it's mine to share and to give to others. And so I'm so grateful for that. And I get to work with amazing women on a very important day, not the most important day, but a very important day in their life. And so I'm so blessed to be able to do that, and know that, all of the hard work, dedication, and commitment to making other people happy has really proven to be one of my greatest gifts in life. So anyways, I'm glad that I survived it. I'm glad that I learned from it. And I'm glad that I haven't had that experience again. And don't you know, yes, I mentioned this earlier. I had 3 weddings my very first year of business. My second year I had 85. And so I had to grow fast. And then there comes a time where you have to be consistent, and you have to continue to want to learn and grow and thrive in your businesses. And if you're an entrepreneur, you understand that you have to continue to improve yourself. And so I know a lot about wedding planning and a lot about floral design and producing, florals and production of an event. But I always have to continue to to learn and to seek, you know, new ideas and things. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed that story. I know my kids were probably way more entertaining than me. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, as always, like I always do. And until I see y'all next week, have a great week.